Robert Plank Show, episode 356. Think and Grow Rich. Harness the power of the mastermind, goal setting, visualization, and so much more with Brandon T. Adams.
Can I cuss in your show?
Sure, do whatever. All right. So, hey
All right.
everyone, welcome back to the show. We might be cussing in this episode, maybe not, but we're talking right now with Brandon T. Adams. And Brandon is a serial entrepreneur, and he owns a stake in a number of businesses, including the Accelerants Media Group, Live to Grind, Young Entrepreneur Convention, Arctic Stick, and an ice distributorship, and he's the co-host and one of two executive producers of Ambitious Adventures, which is a reality television program focused on the compelling stories of young entrepreneurs around the country, and he's the VP of Business Development for Think Rich Films on the film Think and Grow Rich: The Legacy, and he's the youngest person to be featured in the film. And in addition to his TV and film work, he's the host of the influential business podcast Live to Grind, and he's been the guest on over 100 shows. Lots of fun stuff to talk about. Brandon is also a regular on the motivational speaking circuit, and he loves to teach other entrepreneurs how to replicate his results. So, Mr. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Well, that was a mouthful.
It,
There
it,
was a lot there.
yeah,
It- it-
it was, but I mean, want to be thorough, and I always hate skipping over the bio because then I'm like, oh, I missed the nuggets that we can kind of unpack. So, where's the good starting point? I mean, what's on your mind? I mean, what are you doing? I mean, how are things?
well, now that you say I might be cussing on a show, well, what the fuck? Like, seriously, the reason why I asked that, but is because I go on so many shows, and some people are very particular. Like, hey, what can you say on the show? What can you not? And I'm a kid from Northeast Iowa that grew up in a town of 750 people. Like, farming community, everybody knew everybody. We cussed, we drank, no city life. Like I literally, there was no networking experience in where I grew up. But I got out of the atmosphere and ended up going to college at Iowa State University. Go Cyclones! I'm a Hawkeye fan too, but went to school there. My first semester, I got 1.68 GPA. Wasn't the best. I was starting my entrepreneur endeavors by selling apple pie moonshine in college dorm rooms, which made me some money while getting started. You know, I wasn't the best kid. I went to jail a couple times, and where it really changed for me, Robert, was the fact that when I read a book called Think and Grow Rich. Have you read the book?
Oh yeah, a couple
Yeah,
times.
it's good a couple times. It should be your Bible. I read it every single day. I read at least a couple pages, a couple chapters. Like it gives me some ideas. But that book made me realize this. And for all of you, please go listen to the book, read the book. But for me, it's this: whatever your mind conceives and believes, your mind achieves. Whatever you think about the most, is what you become. If you want something in life, it doesn't matter if you're from a small town of 750 people, whatever disadvantage that you have in life. It doesn't matter what it is. If you really want something, if you set your mind to it, if you set that goal in place and surround yourself with the right kind of people, you can achieve anything. You look what Henry Ford, Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, all these successful pioneers of our time did, even Steve Jobs. They weren't like anybody special, and they didn't grow up in an atmosphere where they were special. But what they did have is they had a burning desire to achieve big success, and they didn't care what people thought. They knew they were going to achieve it. And they did because they kept going. So what I got out of the book is it didn't matter I was from Northeast Iowa, small town. It didn't matter my disadvantages, my grades, everything that happened prior to then. What mattered is if I want something in life, I can go get it. And I took that mindset moving forward. So I guess my background where I kind of learned entrepreneurship, my dad had an ice company, Adams Ice Service, distributorship of Arctic Glacier Ice. And I worked in that my whole life, and I ended up acquiring that from him 3 years ago. And that was kind of my learning, a brick and mortar business. And where I kind of transitioned into the online world is one day I was delivering ice, and I invented this product called the Arctic Stick, the cool and flavor drinks. And I thought, hey, I got $1 million idea. I'm going to go on Shark Tank. All these things are going to happen. And I ended up getting a mentor named Cactus Jack Behringer to help me basically tread the waters of figuring out how to get this product to market. And I spent 3.5 years and $100,000 of my own money basically get into market. I learned a lot. I learned about fundraising. I learned about product development. I learned marketing, all these different things. And on my last leg of funding, I turned to crowdfunding. So I turned to Kickstarter to do a crowdfunding campaign. Launched a campaign. I saw what other people were doing. I thought, hey, I can do this. Like, this kid just raised $52,000 for a potato salad. Like, I'm going to be able to do this. And I did it. And I raised 26 grand in that month, but it was honestly the hardest 26 grand I've ever raised. And I realized I didn't know what the hell I was doing with crowdfunding. And a lot of people were failing. A lot of entrepreneurs were failing. And I had saw how crowdfunding helped me in my life and made an impact on me. And I saw other people's dreams being shut down. So I didn't like to see that. I wanted to solve the problem. So 2015, I set out on the journey to crack the code, the formula for crowdfunding success. And well, after studying people, traveling the country, starting a podcast show, writing a book, and just learning from the best people out there, I ended up building an agency around it. And we raised last year, we raised 1.5 million through crowdfunding. And I even crowdfunded 3 of my own companies, or 2 of them, and then 1 we got a percentage in. And crowdfunding was my vehicle to basically have the life I wanted. And like actually a year ago, 2 days ago, a year and 2 days ago exactly, we launched a Kickstarter campaign for a reality show called Ambitious Adventures. And what it is my co-host Greg Roulette and I travel the country. We interview successful entrepreneurs or people that are just doing big things and highlight how they become successful and have fun along the way. It's a combination of interview entrepreneurs and travel and fun packed into one. And some of the people we interviewed last year were Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Kevin Harrington, Little Shark and Shark Tank. We had Caleb and Matt Maddox. We had Jake Paul. We had all these interesting people. And right now we're in post-production and we're in we're basically finalizing a deal to sell our content and distribute it to a network. And it all happened through crowdfunding. So all that blabber and that story I just told you, where it all started was I had an idea that I wanted to do something big in life. I didn't really know what it was until I had led to this product called the Arctic Stick. And I thought that was what's going to change the world for me and be my big thing. It wasn't, but here's the lesson. If you don't know what you want to do right away and you just go with something, along the way, you're going to learn things. I learned marketing. I learned crowdfunding. Arctic Stick took me to crowdfunding, which became my beginning of my success to raise money and work with influential people. Crowdfunding became basically the tool to give me what I really love to do, which is I love helping people. I love filming. I love speaking. I love all these opportunities to make a bigger impact on society and help my younger self, basically younger entrepreneurs, other people out there have success much faster than I did from all the bullshit that I went through.
Awesome. So I mean, so much cool stuff, so much to unpack in there, and I mean, it's just everything I've heard is like all the stuff that you hear about entrepreneurs, right? Like you have an idea, you have something in your mind, nobody
Yeah.
believes you, you do all these kinds of failures, and then you sort of course correct yourself along the way, and then sometimes you think that, like you said, like you thought that, well, the Arctic Stick was like sort of the destination, and then you got that was like the first of many destinations, and you realize,
Yeah.
well, in trying to solve problem number 1, I came across even bigger problem number 2, and like you wouldn't have discovered problem number 2 if you hadn't come across problem number 1. And as you were kind of saying all that, what kind of came into my head is I saw some like you mentioned Steve Jobs. I saw some Steve Jobs quote like maybe yesterday, and it was something like, if I asked people what they wanted, and then I took the time to make it, by the time I made it, then someone already would have beat me to it, or it would already be like out of date. So that's sort of like a good guide, but why not kind of have that thing in your mind and go for your dreams and stuff like that? And I mean, so having said all that, I mean, you've had all these failures which led to success, but I mean, a lot of people out there, they're kind of either too like locked in, or they're too slow, or they don't take the risks, and we kind of see all these people sort of kind of have a big dream and go halfway and fail. So I mean, since you're Mr. Think and Grow Rich, I mean, why is that in this day and age with like all these, tools, all these people that we can talk to, all these things at our disposal? Why is it that, all these decades after Think and Grow Rich, why are people still kind of failing even though all the knowledge is out there?
Because our society sets us up to fail. uh, we fear what we don't know as human beings. I mean, let's face it. I love my family, but even at the beginning, they were sometimes the worst critics because your parents want they want what's best with you, right? Your family wants what is best for you, and they only know what they only know. And they're like, oh, maybe you shouldn't go after that. What if you fail? They think about what if it doesn't work, all the what ifs. And for you, you're thinking, oh, my people around me telling me maybe I shouldn't do this. And they get in your head. And what most people do is they don't do it. And for me, I was lucky enough to have a mentor, and he had lived off Think and Rich, and he told me, like, you're going to hear this all the time, but if you really want something, you can achieve it. And that's what happens. Our society, even for school, like, come on, you go through school, and honestly, every school should have the book Think and Rich in it. And they teach you the main principles. They teach you to think and all these things, but they teach you for a job, a regular job. And again, if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or anything else, that's fine. Like, you have to get your education. But if you want to build a business, entrepreneurs are solving problems, you do it by learning. You don't need a fucking education. You don't need a 4-year degree. I got one. I don't need it. And so I guess people fear what they don't know. And the problem is society tells them what they think you should do. And social media, look at somebody like shuts down your idea, and a lot of people like fold. I used to let all these trolls and haters bother me, but I don't anymore. I used to be like, oh my God, maybe they're right. Maybe I shouldn't do this. I look like an idiot. You're going to get that. And you know what that is? I kind of feel bad for those people, because those people deep down inside are the ones that really have the issues. They're the ones that are afraid to do it themselves. So we fear what we don't know, and we're afraid to do something, and we're going to fail and look like an idiot, or we're going to lose everything. Well, if it doesn't kill you, it's going to make you stronger. And here's my challenge to that question, and anybody listening, think about this. Let's say you don't go after your dream, let's say company, or you don't go for that to try to make it big in some industry, or whatever is you think that you want to do but you won't do. How would you like to do this? How would you like to wake up one day, let's say fast forward 20 years, you're laying in bed, you wake up, you're, I don't know, 35, 40, 50 years old. You look back in your life, you work 10, 15 years on a job you fucking hate. You've accumulated some wealth, but really you've never done anything real in your life. You never really experienced life. You just went to your 9-to-5 job, and maybe you were known in your business, and maybe you have some cool things you do, but you haven't really done shit in life. Well, how does that feel? You know what I mean? Like, and looking back and like, oh fuck, I wish I would have took that job, or I wish I would have made that leap of faith to go after that company. And what if? I always say, what if? Don't ask yourself what if, just do it. And I've found out after just doing it, doing these crazy things like, oh, I'm going to go create a TV show. I didn't know anything about TV. I'm going to go start a company. Like, I failed so many times, but I found out I kept failing, but I would learn. Eventually I got there. And from where I'm at now, so I'm telling you where I'm at now, looking back on it, I'm so glad I didn't let others take me down. I'm so glad I went after it, because now I don't have to be the what if. I know what the reality is, and I know what I can do further. So I want everybody to really soul search, and I really preach it, and I'm really just blunt with it, because I hate seeing people miserable. I hate seeing people that are stuck in their job. By the way, I've had so many people that I speak to at an audience, and they'll quit their job and they'll go after their dream, which I'm so happy for. Just know, if it doesn't kill you, it's going to make you stronger. Honestly, what's the worst going to happen? You go broke. Maybe you got to sleep on your parents' couch if your company doesn't work.
And start
Who
again.
cares? Start again. I mean, Steve Jobs started out of his garage, man. He started his garage, and there was 10 of them, and he called so many people. You're going to hear so many no's. People hate rejection. I've had rejection. I mean, rejection to me is just like, okay, whatever, next person. And if you're very persistent and you don't stop, you're eventually going to get a yes. It just takes one person to believe in your dream to change it all for you and to get you to your end goal.
Awesome stuff. And so, and as you're kind of laying out all those scenarios, what's kind of clicking in my head is Think and Go Rich, the idea of like the mastermind, right? And if some people have a shitty mastermind, it's just going to drag them down, right? If the mastermind you're surrounded by are people like, I mean, parents are great, but if your parents are, they think they're protecting you, but instead they're just projecting like their own fears onto you, and they think, well, I wouldn't do that, so why would I tell you to do that? And then, I mean, like we see all kinds of stuff like that, right? Or people who they kind of ask everyone around them, and then they don't get the answer they want until they find the person that says, oh, don't do that, that's too risky. And they say, oh, finally I found the person that kind of gave up on their dreams, and now they're kind of talking me out of my own stuff. And so like the lesson I'm hearing from that, as you're saying all that, is get a better mastermind. Find, like, the whole thing of like find people who are where you want to be, or who at least have achieved some like higher level of success than
Yeah.
you, someone who's like, a little out of your league, so that way they can kind of bring you up instead of pushing you down. And so, I mean, it sounds like you have all these crazy things going on. And so like with all that, like how do you overcome that entrepreneurial ADD, right? Because like the thing about like being an entrepreneur is like we need to be keep on like putting things out there and making all these failures, but then like there's also that kind of failure of like doing too much, being spread too thin, and having a bunch of half-finished stuff, and that itself is a failure. So I mean, what's your secret to overcoming that? Because it sounds like you have in a way.
Well, I'm still working on it. I I've got better at it. And just to say in your mastermind point, it who you surround yourself will define your future. It's like the old saying, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you your future. It's so true because if you're around people that are bringing you down, honestly, I want to be the dumbest guy in the room. I want to be around somebody. Some people want to be the smartest guy. Like, no, I want to be the dumbest guy in the room and I want to learn from everybody that has expertise in different areas. Who you surround yourself is completely going to decide where you go in life. And for the entrepreneur ADD, this morning I was like journaling for an hour and just writing down what I really wanted this year and the things I really, because I got so many things going on and I've got myself into this, and luckily I have a team. So you need a team to be able to conquer that. So I have different teams and different businesses that run the business and they work with me and I make decisions, but I have people like, for example, this morning I made like 3 texts and I could have did this stuff myself, but literally the text could have took a whole day's of work. Like, hey, can you look for all the venues for this event? Hey, one big speaker, if we lock them in, like literally it'll make the rest of everything go. Like just made some text with the connections I've made. And it's easier for me to get things done versus what some people will take days, weeks, even months to achieve. I can do with a text. But for the focus, figure out what's really true to you. And again, I haven't like cracked the code completely because I got a lot of things going on because I have so many fucking opportunities that have come my way and I love them. And it's like, I love what I do. So it's hard to say no sometimes. You got to learn to say no, but figure out what you really want and really fine tune that. And one of the things I said here, I do a warrior chant every morning and affirmations to tell myself what I want. But one of the things I announced to the world here like a year ago, 8 months ago, is I intend to impact 1 billion lives in a positive way by December 31st, 2019. And I'll do that through inspiration, motivation, education, through speaking, podcasting, online education, masterminds, events, and my TV show. And everything I just listed are the things that I work on. So if it doesn't align with making an impact in people's lives, helping them, I don't do it. But the problem is there's a lot of things that can make an impact, like events, video. I believe video is the most powerful thing that you can do right now, and I can reach the most people. I can go speak in front of 1,000 or so people, and even if I did a stadium, let's say 50, 100,000 people in front of a crowd, but that's going to take a while to get to 1 billion. Or I could create films that could be a sensation and be seen by hundreds of millions of people within months. And that's why, for one, being a part of the team for Think and Grow Rich, the legacy, with that coming out this fall and with our TV show, some of the deals we're doing, I'm just thinking of ways how I can get in front of a camera, get in front of a mic, and be able to speak to the masses through the internet. And that's my focus. So long-winded to get to your answer is, how do you stay focused? First, figure out what you really want and what you enjoy to do, and then just knock that out of the park. One great example, John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire just spoke to our mastermind group 2 days ago. Very smart man. He's a great guy, good friend of mine. And he said he wanted to create a daily podcast show. He created it, and he just focused on that one thing. He knocked it out of the park, and then after that, he went to the Freedom Journal, and that was a book. So we helped him actually raise a lot of money for that. He knocked it out of the park, and then he went to the next thing, the Mastery Journal. So he picked one thing, knocked it out of the park, and go to the next thing, which is your one thing. And to solve that problem also, too, by Gary Keller, The One Thing is a great book, and even for me, it helped me a little bit. So yeah, think about what you really want, pick your one thing and focus on it, and got to learn to say no. There's a lot of shiny objects out there, but does it align with your future goal? If you have morals, if you have your actual end goal in mind, you're going to know what to say yes and no to.
Kick ass. And so a lot of what I'm hearing there as you're saying that is like, you know, if something's in alignment with that goal, do it. If it's not, then either don't do it or delegate someone else to do it. And
Black or white. Yeah, delegate. Yeah, and even delegation's big. You know, I've learned from just massive, like having mental breakdowns before, trying to do it all myself. You can't. You're all human. We're not machines. I've thought I was a machine before, but no. Do what you know, and you don't know have your team. You have to have a team around you. And so many people, even I sometimes, you want to be a control freak, but you got to let go, because if you're a control freak, you can only do so much and you can only expand it. You're not going to scale if you are a control freak.
Right. Right. I mean, really good lesson, and that's like one of those things where I keep having to remind myself because if I kind of don't stay on the ball as far as like delegating stuff, like I'm the kind of person where I end up taking on more and more. Next thing you know,
Yeah.
like I'm filled to capacity, and all I'm doing is just trying to get through the day to day, putting out fires, and then it's like then there's no time left over to think about kind of like the big picture and that kind of fun stuff. And so you mentioned in there about like you do things in the morning like your hour of journaling, you do your mantras and stuff like that. So it sounds like you have some kind of a morning routine. Can you kind of tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's changed. I have habits. I used to wake up at 5 a.m. and work out and then like meditate, and that'd be the start of my day. I changed now. What I do is I wake up and um I basically read in Thinking You're Rich, or I'll read another book. I'll read for like 30 minutes or so, and I'll meditate. I'll think about my goals for the day, set them, and then I shower. One of the things I do in a shower is I do a hot and cold at the end of the shower. So really hot, really hot, and then on really cold, it chills your body. And if you have a good shower in a certain hotels, like the shower water gets really cold, it's painful, but it like wakes you up and jolts you. It's proven actually to make you a healthier person and like fight disease and all these things. And I do that, and then what I do, I got that from The Power of Habit by Do Higgins, by the way. And then what I do is I do a warrior chant where I basically state what my goals are, and I like scream in the mirror and then like hit my chest, and I'm ready to go. It's like before you go into a football game or a rugby if you played sports. I played sports, and we'd always like get all pumped up. I'm like, why not get pumped up for the day? So I do that, and then depending on the day, like certain days I do all podcasting, certain days I'll batch my work and do other things. And then right now I'm working out with my girlfriend from 1 p.m. to about 3 every single day. So we work out, and I feel like exercise is necessary. But for anyone, you need to have a routine, figure out what it is. I'm not telling you have to go do this or that. Everybody's different. Just for me, I do believe you should do physical exercise every single day, whether it's going for a walk or yoga, anything to get your blood flowing. Meditation helps, and then really setting your goals every single day, because when you have a lot of things going on and you don't write down your main goals for the day, you're going to get caught up in the day through emails, through, hey, let's go on a podcast show or whatever else it is. You need to set your goals. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. I was actually looking back in this past 70 days or 7 days, which I got done. I'm like, I felt like I didn't get much done, but between interviews and going on shows, I did 15 shows. I landed 2 big deals, and then I had it was like one other thing I accomplished, and I'm just getting so much into a pattern. And we all do as humans. We get into patterns and we don't notice what we're doing. Sometimes you got to sit back and reflect. What did I do this week? And see, okay, where can I improve? So really like evaluate yourself and set your goals. It's really big to just set your goals every single day. Set your goal for the week, the month, the year, so you know where you're going.
Awesome. I mean, yeah, and you're reminding me that I'm way too rusty on Think and Grow Rich. I definitely need to give it another read through because like the thing that I remember the most about Think and Grow Rich, other than that weird sex chapter, but anyway, but then
Let me ask you, have you figured that one out yet?
the
Sex transmutation?
not having sex until you get to the next milestone or whatever.
No, no, no. So here's the part of let's talk about this.
All right,
Okay.
scary stuff.
Yeah, so sex transmutation. So the most powerful thing we have as humans is power of love and sex drive. Like, let's face everybody, like we all like are driven sexually. Most people are. And what can make or break somebody is some people, they get so driven by it, their whole life is consumed by sex and some pornography and all these. Some people are consumed by drugs, alcohol, food. Like there's so many bad addictions, and it states it in the book. But very successful people are highly sex driven, or what's the word? Like they have a high sex drive and they're like really like always motivated. But if you can learn how to take that energy and transmute it into your work instead of just going and having sex, it is powerful. It is. And I'm saying to crack the code yet, but I'd say I've really I've got much better. It's good. And think about it, and think about when you're in love too. And if anybody listening, if you've been in love, and for me, my girlfriend that I love, and we've been together for a while now, she's influenced me to do big things. And it's proven that people are more likely, they are more driven to help somebody else than themselves. So for me, I've always wanted to give her everything and work harder for her and just give her a great life and do it for her. For me, it's like, okay, it's whatever. So her influence pushed me to go farther. So with that book in Sex Transmutation and the Power and Influence from a woman or a man, whatever it may be, that is really the biggest key to success if you want to unlock your superpowers. And you look at Henry Ford. His wife was one of the biggest influences in his life to make him successful. Henry Ford's wife was. And you look at these other success stories, the woman influenced the man to do big things. So that's my insight on that. I've studied this for a long time, and I haven't studied. There's some people out there have studied for like tens of years, but for me, for what I've experienced myself, if you can learn how to master that and learn how to take that energy and apply it to your work, you're going to get a lot more done. Because think about it. I don't know if you remember, and we can really get deep in this. Remember the days when you were a teenager and all you could think about was girls? Like that consumed your mind. Well, that was like a high energy. You would do anything to like go be at a certain place or like opportunity, like you'd do anything. Think if you could take the energy and put that towards your business. Like, hey, I would do anything to make this happen. So it's learn to transfer that energy into another form.
And
that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's awesome, and it's like, that makes me think about like all those sort of like risks that I took that I wouldn't have otherwise, or like kind of being the alpha dog
For
or
a
whatever.
girl.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
for a girl, for something as silly as that, and then I can look at that as like the proof that like, okay, there have been times when I've like taken a huge risk. So then when there are times when I have doubt, then I'm like, well, there's sort of that proof there. And then like I can definitely relate to times when I was like single in college. I was really driven to like, okay, I gotta
Oh,
I gotta
wow.
make something of myself so that I'm more like impressive. And then I've been in those bad relationships when it was like really a struggle to do great things, and I'm in a good relationship now as well where like my partner helps me out, and it reminds me of that whole there's like some, I don't even know if it's a real story, but there's some kind of story about how like there was like Michelle Obama's like ex-boyfriend or something, and Barack Obama says, oh yeah, there's your ex-boyfriend, like what do you think would have happened if you stayed with him? And she's like, well then he would be president, not you, or something silly like that.
Ah,
But
and no, I like that. It's so true though. You be very careful. You pick your relationship. It could make or break you. And so many people, their failures because they picked the wrong person and they settle. And if you find the right person, you push each other. Like heck, she's kicking my ass in the gym and she's pushing me, I'm pushing her, and you make each other better. So find a relationship that makes you better, but also for your business, find a team around you that pushes you to make you better. They want to make you always better, and you're making the whole team better as a whole.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, so many like sort of lessons and like kind of ripples into other principles and things like that, and just like what's been really on my mind a lot lately is it's not just me. Like I need other people, I need other like business relationships and contacts and all this like leverage. Like it's not just me in a little corner on a computer doing stuff. It has to be about other people. And so some of these things that are kind of popping to mind, or like reminding me about Think and Grow Rich, or like you were talking about how those times when you're not motivated or when you're kind of feeling like giving up, you look back at the evidence and say, oh yeah, well this feeling I was feeling was just some random thing in my head. If I look back at the facts, I've been busting my tail, I got all these things accomplished, and then I'm kind of reinvigorated. And then that whole idea of the writing the goals every day. I mean, I gotta be honest. I completely forgot about that from Think and Grow Rich. And I mean, I did it for a while, like a few months. And during those months, I was super productive. And it's been years since I've done that every single day, writing down the same goals. And I need to revisit that. But so having said all that kind of stuff, I mean, do you ever have times, even with all this like sort of daily refreshing and all this yes, your good relationships and stuff, do you ever get like burnt out or stuck at any time?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whatever comes up or whatever goes up, it's got to come down. Especially your momentum and stuff. And you just got to, I just did a show on this, how sometimes when I set really big goals, I get this feeling inside, like your mind goes to, oh my God, what if this happens? What if I can't do this? And negativity. And what happens is most people let that give in and then they quit. For me, I've learned to just overcome it. It happens, emotions happen, but I don't let it control me. And I say, okay, that's just happening. It's not going to like control me. I'm going to get past this. So knowing those even I mean, I can tell you all people have those emotions of they fear of failure and stuff, but the ones that let it attack them is the ones that don't move forward. I just don't let it affect me. Um, but yeah, sometimes I've got kind of wore out, burned out, but I just take a little break and then go right back at it. I sleep, the next day I wake up, and then I'm ready to go again. And every day is a new day, and don't let the past affect you. Use the past to your benefit to get better, to know like you don't want to go back to certain dark holes of your life, or you don't want to be in that financial situation again. Use that to drive you further. I always think of the positive of everything. Try to go through. Some people always pick the negative of everything. Every day, dude, I could like fall on dog shit and come out and feel like I'm smelling like a rose. Like literally think about the positive side of that. And if you have that mindset, like always thinking of the positive, no matter what happened, just know it happens. And emotions, what people say and all these things, they're words. Don't let that affect your emotions. If you can learn to control your emotions, you'll be much better off. And I'm not saying it's easy, but it's possible. Just control your emotions. Control your emotions, and how these feelings, but don't let them feelings get to you.
I mean, good advice. And that's like, for me, that's like one of those, it's like a constant struggle of like, there's all this like, crazy emotional stuff, and some of it's irrational, some of it's like, just like weird phrases and things that kind of get stuck in there. And then it's like, well, I have to use the logic to overcome that, or make that like not matter, and kind of like, make the logical brain kind of work harder than that sort of emotional stuff. And so, I mean, we're on a roll here, but I don't want to, keep you forever and ever. I know you got a bunch of other stuff to do today, but as we're kind of starting to wind down, I mean, we talked a lot about, Think and Grow Rich, and the things that that like you've done right, or and things like that. I mean, is there like anything that really stands out about you, about things that after all your ups and downs, are there any like, is there like one big lesson or one big thing that just like, I mean, has carried you through, that's like just the biggie, the big one?
Yeah. My big goal, and when you have a big goal and why that's bigger than you, all your personal shit doesn't matter anymore. Like it, don't let it be about you. Let it be about the big vision. And so many people like let it get their emotions, everything, it evolves. So for me, I just have the big goal in mind. I set it, and I know that everything I do has to go towards that. Don't sweat the small stuff. And for me, again, I'm human. Sometimes I don't I have days where I'm not as motivated. So what do? I go to YouTube and pick a motivational video. Simple as that. I mean, literally, that's what I do. Or I listen to something that motivates me to keep me going. And again, just know that anything is possible. You can achieve anything in life. When I was a kid, I had a speech impediment, and up until middle school, like I was made fun of. Like I had a lisp. I couldn't speak, and I didn't let that overcome me. Most people, okay, that's part of me, physical disability, and okay, that's I can't be a great speaker. But I told myself in the mirror I wanted to become a great salesman one day. I told myself I want to be a great speaker and speak in front of crowds, and all these things. I overcame my obstacle, and you wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have told you. But now, I mean, I've spoke on stages. I've been on TV in front of 250,000 people once before. Like I've done some things where I'm always speaking. I took my disadvantages and made it into my advantage and became better at it. So I guess the moral story is for anybody listening, no matter what your situation is, financially, physical disabilities, whatever it may be, anything is possible if you really want it. How bad do you want it? Most people think they want it. They want all the luxurious things, but they don't want to put in the work that gets them those luxurious things. And for me, I just want it. I want it really bad. I want to achieve all these things. I'm very driven because knowing that every day could be your last. I mean, I mean, granted, I could go to the gym today and get hit by a car and die. I don't know. So knowing if that did happen to me and looking back at my life, I'm happy with the things I've achieved. I know that I gave it everything that I could along the way. So for everybody listening, if that happened to you, would you be happy with what you have achieved? Have you achieved everything you want to? If not, maybe you should rethink the patterns and the things that you're doing in your life. Knowing that is what drives me every day. Knowing that any day could be your last, that's what drives me. And that's honestly, that's all somebody needs to know in life. Waking up and knowing this could be my last. I'm going to make this the best day ever.
Awesome stuff. I mean, really powerful, but also terrifying at the same time. But that's how we know that we're alive. So, I mean, great message, great ideas. Don't sweat the small stuff. There's always a way out. There's always a way forward. And have those goals, have those big visions, and then do the work, get the motivation, and course correct along the way, and have all those tools that things like Think and Grow Rich teaches you. And so, I mean, I'm curious about what you have going on and what kind of stuff you want to plug and where people can find out about it. So, I mean, what do you have going on right now?
Yeah, so the film Think and Grow Rich: The Legacy is will be releasing in LA, a premiere, and coming worldwide in October. So you can find that thinkthelegacy.com, find out about the release and your chance to potentially, well, for one, when we do release for the premiere date, the tickets will sell out like in 24 hours. But you can get updates there. So that's coming out, and I'm excited for that. And we have our TV show, Ambitious Adventures. That'll be airing hopefully by the end of the year or early 2018. It's all filmed. It's a matter of finalizing the details and the deal with it. And then I guess the one big thing that I'm doing next year, and all you listeners, I'm doing a trip. My girlfriend and I are going to 12 cities in 12 months in 2018. We're going to live in 12 cities. The first 3 cities are January, Scottsdale, Arizona; February, Austin, Texas; and March is going to be Denver, Colorado. And we'll be announcing more cities soon. But if you're in those cities and you want an opportunity to be ambassador or work with me, message me, and you can find me at live2grind.com. So if anybody listening goes to live2grind.com, you can see everything we have there, updates on all the cool things we are working on, opportunities to go on any of our programs and listen to my podcast show that I do every week.
Great stuff. So make sure, I mean, if you got even one tiny nugget, one morsel, one speck, I'm sure you got a lot more out of it than that. But even if you got one little thing, then you owe it to yourself to go to live2grind.com and go there, check out the podcast, do whatever you need to do on that page, opt into his list, contact Brandon, or even check out if that Think and Grow Rich: The Legacy is going to be at a city near you. So I want to thank you so much, Mr. Brandon, for stopping by and sharing all of these insights, all of this personal stuff, all this fun, exciting stuff, all of these things that us entrepreneurs really need to know, because as you said, today could be our last day. We could both die 10 minutes from now. The whole world could end. No one knows what the future is. So why not live your best life and do all that best stuff, and don't put your life off on hold for later. Do those things that are important now, and you'll be glad you did. So thanks so much, everyone. Go to live2grind.com, and thanks, Brandon, for stopping by.
Thank you.
Subscribe to us right now while it's still fresh on your mind at robertplank.com/iTunes, or just search Robert Plank in your iTunes app.